Hey, this is Lester the Skeptic Tank, excuse me. Hopefully that got out right. Um, I'm thankful for the comments in my recent video covering installing that racing game TORCS. I'm going to try to address some of the commentary. I will admit I'm not a Linux expert. I've done enough to make me functional, as I said. I just need to know the commands I need to know and get me going. However, what I'll have this video be real briefly is a brief intro to package management, like I said in the video. And another reason why I'm reshooting this installation of TORCS is I realized using my two monitors really made the picture wide. YouTube had to compensate for that double width, and so it squished everything. So in order to do the representation justice, I will try to work as best as I can with my single monitor. Not difficult by any means, but hopefully I can manage to make the process look smoothly, especially as I'm shooting this before my work starts. I'm going to go in and log in as super user, as I explained in the last video. And to do that, I know in other distributions they use sudo. I'm more comfortable with using super user, and I can always log out. And I'll just log in, and as I mentioned, in the Linux command line, there's a password to be typed. You will not see what those are. For Slackware, and I'm appreciative of this person, I think it's Peaches TV, and then the set of numbers, I will respond to you in the other video. But package management for a distribution like Slackware, a lot of the distributions have package management consisting of typing in commands in the command line like I'm about to do. So in Slackware, to check for an update, we would use the command slack package, and then we would do update. This is to update the list. If there isn't anything new in the list, then I am going to be prompted, hey, do I want to download this list again fresh? And I'll likely say no. But as we're seeing, I'm going to let the update, because it looks like there's some packages I might need to download. And the one thing I've appreciated over the years with Linux's update management is that it is entirely up to the user. One of the things I did pick up in the Linux guide, the Linux Bible that I've been reading, you're not compelled to update it just to update it. That's why it's important to look at the update history or change log. Then you can figure if it's worth your while. On my phone, which is a Pixel 6 Pro, but it doesn't run Google's Android. It runs what's called Graphene OS, and real quickly about that package management, I use F-Droid, which is mainly open source or close to open source apps. And the most important thing I've noticed with F-Droid is it does give me version options. That's the one thing the Play Store is lacking, is the ability to properly downgrade your revision without going to some untrusted source. Alright, so the next command, well, I'll still use the same command, but it's going to be a different switch, or a different specific to it. I'm going to say upgrade all. Here it is. And if I want, I can widen my command line window. There it goes. And I'm going to look at this and compare what I have already installed. And it says that I have a multi-lib and they have the standard library. I'm going to check the ones that says it sees my multi-lib, which is the multi-library. That essentially enables your 64-bit system, which Linux by default is a purely 64-bit operating system. when you use the 64-bit variation of it. Now, you can provide the 32-bit support by using the process, which I'll probably cover in a different video. To be honest, all I'm doing is following a set of instructions. And as far as updating the kernel, you can always update the kernel. It's just the hard part is just making sure you do it right, meaning the compilation of the kernel or non-compilation, because I've been installing what is known as huge kernels. And as you can see, I have patches, but I installed the kernel huge as I'm at this point in my Linux life where I don't feel the need to update my recompile my kernel, as it were. So all I have to actually do is get the updates I actually need. Patches are going to be important, and here I am. I just hit OK, and as you're seeing, it's just updating the 2 packages I'm meaning to upgrade. Okay. And just like from the other video, I'm going to type in the 2 commands, update db after the ld config. There it is. Now, the other command, as I showed, install package or upgrade package, I can do a remove package. And I'm going to try typing in TORCS and see if it does anything here. Okay, I'm going to uninstall TORCS. I'm going to walk through the process. I'm going to leave that squishy looking video up. It does provide a little bit of the background as to why I still use Slackware when I'm in my Linux environment. Just something about it. It doesn't feel the need to go with every single trend out there, especially when in question is the integrity of the system. So one thing an old coworker of mine talked about was this implementation of what's called System D. I believe Slackware has resisted that implementation. I could be wrong. It's been years already. But regardless, let me go ahead and go to Slack builds real quick. I was surprised it flipped me to YouTube, but okay. I'm going to go to Slack builds. I'm going to get TORCS. And I'm going to get these. I've already gotten these, so I'm just probably going to walk through the steps. I just want to make sure I have a good representation of what I did earlier. I would like to see what the video looks like without it being squished. So I've already downloaded these as you saw in the last video, but I'm just walking through what a Slackware user would typically do. And going back to Slack builds, I don't know what their exact relationship is with Slackware proper, but I can always go to their site, Slack builds, and then contributors. Oh, FAQ. I haven't. So, are you affiliated with and or endorsed by Slackware? Let's see what they say. We are not affiliated with either Volkerding or Slackware Linux. The project is maintained by volunteers who wish to contribute something useful to the Slackware user community. Furthermore, for clarity's sake, the concept of Slack build script came from Slackware itself, not from us. And then they give a hyperlink. So he's talking about Slack. Okay. All right. So I guess that's why they did this cross out. So if you want to know more about the Slack builds community, I just found them very helpful. So going back, if I were to put in my search query, TORCS, and as I explained, for a Slackware user, if you're looking to install stuff, it makes use of the source code file and a Slack builds file. So that Slack builds again is going to be represented by this .tgz. And I've pointed out the free ALUT, and now going back to plib. Because I just uninstalled TORCS, I can actually reinstall it, but I'm just gonna walk through, hopefully in a better presentation. I think I have that right. Yeah, I already removed it. Let's see what I've got here. All right. So I've already got the 2 libraries installed. I'm going to go back to the TORCS folder. I'm going to see where I'm at. I'm in another folder. So I'm going to change my directory to where I stored those files. So I'm going to go into TORCS, and I'm just going to show again what I would do for the previous libraries. So I would just do this. And watching the building process. So it's likely extracting the file, which is because it's a .tbz, it's a tar file, and you gotta extract those contents from that file. And that's part of the build script file. It's basically telling the command line what to do, and it likely has certain fixes that allows the compilation of the source code to go without a hitch. That's another reason why I go to Slack builds, because I can always run the compilation process. Not too difficult. You just have to do a // You saw me do that with the initiation of that Slack build script. As you're seeing all that stuff going on, I've done basic compiling the source code and then building and then installing the application. So it usually would start out with a // configure. That would, and then when you do that, there are switches you might want to keep in mind when you start configuring your application. It's what we take for granted. So what you're seeing here, if you're new to this video or new to Linux, the configure is what this portion is what is known as the backend. What you're seeing right before you, this is what's going on behind the scenes. When you install a program in Windows, especially, because in Mac it's just drag the icon to the application folder and hey, you're done, yay. But in Windows, you run the installer and it does what this item you're seeing does. It extracts the contents from within the installation file. Then when it brings up the wizard, you're going to tell it what to configure it with. What parameters do you want that application to have? Where are you going to install it? Are you what do you want to include? What do you not want to include? And then once you confirm all that, it's going to build that and then copy all the stuff. It's going to copy all the stuff into the directories you designate. So as you're seeing here, it's getting close to the point of install. It's usually, this is the fun part of me, if I were to sit and watch, you can kind of tell that it's almost done. And I'll be interested to see if it's going to be simply overwritten. Okay, that looks fun. All right, as you're seeing, that's where they're placed. That's where it's designating to put all of the files it's about to be placed. It's about to place. Okay. Just checking my time, and just a brief explanation. This desktop environment, and that's a term that one will get used to with Linux is desktop environment. In Linux, we have an array of desktop environments we can log into. That's what we often call the X Windows or Windows look or GUI, graphical user interface. Now, like before, I'm going to use the upgrade package. There it is. And as I explained in the other video, install new. And I'm going to point to TORCS. There it is. And I did the semicolon, ld config, update db. Yep, there it is. And then since I did the 2 commands as part of the overall command, there it is. I should be able to use it. And I can minimize. This is Vivaldi. This is I'm slowly coming around the Chrome browsers. I still have a soft spot for Firefox, just because during my time using Chrome or Chromium, the open source version of Chrome, I find sometimes it can be a little funky. Firefox does have its funkiness, but it's been easy to manage that. All right, so since I'm in what's called KDE, that's the one I've seen it improve over time. Before I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to have anything to do with KDE. Now it does what I need. It's pretty enough for me. It doesn't try to be what it's not, and I can just type in TORCS. There it is. And as you saw in the last video, I am going to change things here. Okay, I got 2 options: accept, display, change my color depth. Because again, like I mentioned in the other video, it is an older graphics engine, if my memory serves, because I don't think there have been many updates to this. So I'm going to go full screen. Video mode initialized. Compatible best. Compatible best. I'm going to go with best. I'm going to apply, and then there it goes. And let's see. Configure players. I'm going to go with that. Player 1. Historic. Okay. Off-road. Oh, okay. And then the subcategory. Ford. Okay, this is my car of choice. This is my jam. Okay. And controls. I believe they're simple arrow keys. And like I said in the last video, I will likely do another. I'll probably do a follow-up where I will introduce the joystick and the 360 controller for Windows, which has been detected by Linux. And I'm just going to do a quick demo race for you guys. Yeah, new race. Why not? Alright. Quick game. Yeah, let's quit. Alright, let's see if I can get this recording to save.